Good morning, afternoon, philosophers. Running a little late today. Hope you are well. Let's continue. We're almost done with book 9. Number 33. All that you see will soon have vanished, and those who see it vanish will vanish themselves, and the ones who reached old age have no advantage over the untimely dead. Well, except it's starting to get annoying, like this fatalism. Those that reach old age have had an advantage. 34. What their minds are like, what they work at, what evokes their love and admiration. Imagine their souls stripped bare and their vanity, to suppose that their disdain could harm anyone, or their praise help them. 35. My attitude is very triumphant today, and this book is striking me like, man, it's just so fatalistic and be okay with death, and it doesn't matter if you live anymore, and you shouldn't be upset if you die right now. You know, it's like, come on, life is amazing. This day is I don't know, precious. Let's kick ass. 35. To decompose is to be recomposed. That's what nature does. Nature, through whom all things happen as they should, and have happened forever in just the same way, and will continue to, one way or another, endlessly. That things happen for the worst and always will, that the gods have no power to regulate them, and the world is condemned to never-ending evil. How can you say that? 36. Disgust at what things are made of, liquid, dust, bones, filth, or marble as hardened dirt, gold and silver as residues, clothes as hair, purple dye as shellfish blood, and all the rest, and the same with our living breath, transformed from one thing to another. 37. Enough of this wretched, whining monkey life. Oh my God, maybe this is not the book for me today. Oh man, I hope you guys are feeling as positive and empowered as I am today. 37. Enough of this wretched, whining monkey life. What's the matter? Is any of this new? What is it you find surprising? The purpose! Look at it. The material? Look at that. That's all there is. And the gods? Well, you could try being simpler, gentler, even now. 100 years or 3. No difference. 38. Boy, this guy was fun at parties. If they've injured you, then they're the ones who suffer for it. But have they? 39. Either all things spring from one intelligent source and from a single body, and the part should accept the actions of the whole, or there are only atoms joining and splitting forever and nothing else. So why feel anxiety? Say to your mind, are you dead? Damaged, brutal, dishonest? Are you one of the herd, or grazing like one? 40. Either the gods have power or they don't. If they don't, why pray? If they do, then why not pray for something else instead of for things to happen or not to happen? Pray not to feel fear, or desire, or grief. If the gods can do anything, they can surely do that for us. But those things the gods left up to me. Then isn't it better to do what's up to you, like a free man, than to be passively controlled by what isn't, like a slave or beggar? And what makes you think the gods don't care about what's up to us? Start praying like this and you'll see. Not, quote, some way to sleep with her, but a way to stop wanting to. Not some way to get rid of him, but a way to stop trying. Not some way to save my child, but a way to lose your fear. Whoa. Redirect your prayers like that and watch what happens. 41. Epicurus. During my illness, quote from Epicurus. During my illness, my conversations were not about my physical state. I did not waste my visitors' time with things of that sort, but went on discussing philosophy and concentrated on one point in particular, How the mind can participate in the sensations of the body and yet maintain its serenity and focus on its own well-being. Nor did I let my doctors strut about like grandees. I went on living my life the way it should be lived." End quote. Like that, in illness or any other situation, not to let go of philosophy, no matter what happens, not to bandy words with crackpots and Philistines. Good rules for any philosopher. Concentrate on what you're doing and what you're doing it with. 42. When you run up against someone else's shamelessness, ask yourself this: is a world without shamelessness possible? No. Then don't ask the impossible. There have to be shameless people in the world. This is one of them. That's interesting. That's actually pretty interesting way to think about it. I don't know about there have to be, but there's certainly going to be. The same for someone vicious or untrustworthy or with any other defect. Remembering that the whole class has to exist will make you more tolerant of its members. It doesn't have to exist, but it's going to. So recognizing that will probably have the same effect. That's useful. Another useful point to bear in mind. Hold on, I'm going to highlight that. That's worth further thought. Another useful point to bear in mind. What qualities has nature given us to counter that defect? As an antidote to unkindness, it gave us kindness, and other qualities to balance other flaws. And when others stray off course, you can always try to set them straight, because every wrongdoer is doing something wrong, doing something the wrong way. And how does it injure you anyway? You'll find that none of the people you're upset about has done anything that could do damage to your mind. But that's all that harm or injury could mean. Yes, boorish people do boorish things. What's strange or unheard of about that? Isn't it yourself you should reproach for not anticipating that they'd act this way? That's probably a healthy attitude. The Logos gave you the means to see it, that a given person would act a given way, but you paid no attention, and now you're astonished that he's gone and done it. So when you call someone untrustworthy or ungrateful, turn the reproach on yourself. It was you who did wrong by assuming that someone with those traits deserved your trust, or by doing them a favor and expecting something in return instead of looking to the action itself for your reward. What else did you expect from helping someone out? Isn't it enough that you've done what your nature demands? You want a salary for it too? As if your eyes expected a reward for seeing or your feet for walking. That's what they were made for. By doing what they were designed to do, they're performing their function. Whereas humans were made to help others, and when we do help others or help them to do something, we're doing what we were designed for. We perform our function. I don't see any evidence that is what humans were made for. I'm happy to see evidence of that, but I don't see it. We are now in book 10, and I think there's only 12 books. We are approaching the end. That's a very stoic thing to say. We're approaching the end. Number 1. I'm very cheerful today. This is going to be a good day. Number 1. To my soul. Are you ever going to achieve goodness? Ever going to be simple, whole, and naked, as plain to see as the body that contains you? Know what an affectionate and loving disposition would feel like? Ever be fulfilled? Ever stop desiring, lusting, and longing for people and things to enjoy? Or for more time to enjoy them? Or for some other place or country, a more temperate clime? Or for people easier to get along with? And instead be satisfied with what you have and accept the present, all of it, and convince yourself that everything is the gift of the gods, that things are good and always will be, whatever they decide and have in store for the preservation of that perfect entity, good and just and beautiful, creating all things, connecting and embracing them, and gathering in their separated fragments to gathering in their separated fragments to create more like them. Will you ever take your stand as a fellow citizen with gods and human beings, blaming no one, deserving no one's censure? Very noisy mailman outside. Number 2. Focus on what nature demands, as if you were governed by that alone. Then do that and accept it, unless your nature as a living being would be degraded by it. Then focus on what that nature demands and accept that too, unless your nature as a rational being would be degraded by it. And of course, rational also implies civic. Follow these guidelines and don't waste time on anything else. There's rampant statism in this philosophy as well. Number 3. Everything that happens is either endurable or not. If it's endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining. If it's unendurable, then stop complaining. Your destruction will mean its end as well. Just remember, you can endure anything your mind can make endurable by treating it as in your interest to do so. In your interest or in your nature. I'm highlighting that one. Deserves more think time. Number 4. If they've made a mistake, correct them gently and show them where they went wrong. If you can't do that, then the blame lies with you or no one. What? What? I don't know about that. Number 5. Whatever happens to you has been waiting to happen since the beginning of time. Yeah, what is this number 4? If they've made a mistake, correct them gently and show them where they went wrong. If you can't do that, then the blame lies with you? Like, if I'm unable to convince somebody of something that's true, it's not my fault. I mean, I guess you could say it's my fault that I wasn't able to convince them, but the mistake they made based on that is not, I don't know, whatever. That's weird. Number 5. Whatever happens to you has been waiting to happen since the beginning of time. The twining strands of fate wove both of them together, your own existence and the things that happen to you. Number 6. Whether it's atoms or nature, the first thing to be said is this: I am a part of a world controlled by nature. Secondly, that I have a relationship with other similar parts. And with that in mind, I have no right as a part to complain about what is assigned me by the whole. Because what benefits the whole can't harm the parts, and the whole does nothing that doesn't benefit it. That's a trait shared by all natures, but the nature of the world is defined by a second characteristic as well. No outside force can compel it to cause itself harm. This is all nonsense to me, but let's continue. So, by keeping in mind the whole I form a part of, I'll accept whatever happens. And because of my relationship to other parts, I will do nothing selfish, but aim instead to join them, to direct my every action toward what benefits us all and to avoid what doesn't. If I do all that, then my life should go smoothly, as you might expect a citizen's life to go, one whose actions serve his fellow citizens and who embraces the community's decree. This is the kind of like selfless, altruistic attitude. Like if you're going to have an emperor wielding life and death power over you, you want him to be an undying altruist. That's the only way you can limit the damage that he's going to cause. So this is probably why this guy's known as the last good emperor of Rome, because he was probably the last altruistic emperor. But even that's only a limited altruism, because if he was truly altruistic, he would cease wielding power over other people. That's a contradiction for sure. To say that, to continue holding that position of power and then to try and do it in an altruistic way is like a non-starting contradiction from the start. Number 7. The whole is compounded by nature of individual parts, whose destruction is inevitable. Destruction here meaning transformation. If the process is harmful to the parts and unavoidable, then it's hard to see how the whole can run smoothly, with parts of it passing from one state to another, all of them built only to be destroyed in different ways. Does nature set out to cause its own components harm and make them vulnerable to it? Indeed predestined to it? Or is it obvious to what goes on? Neither one seems very plausible. But suppose we throw out nature and explain these things through inherent properties. It would still be absurd to say that the individual things in the world are inherently prone to change, and at the same time be astonished at it or complain on the grounds that it was happening contrary to nature. And least of all when things return to the state from which they came, because our elements are either simply dispersed or are subject to a kind of gravitation, the solid proportions being pulled towards earth, and what is ethereal drawn into the air until they're absorbed into the universal logos, which is subject to periodic conflagrations or renewed through continual change. And don't imagine either that those elements, the solid ones and the ethereal, are with us from our birth. Their influx took place yesterday or the day before, from the food we ate, the air we breathed. And that's what changes, not the person your mother gave birth to. But if you're inextricably linked to it through your sense of individuality, that's not what we're talking about here. Okay. Massive paragraph of nonsense. We will end there for today. You know, a lot of these mornings I tend to have written down like really heavy, sometimes difficult, dark, deep, heavy, that's the best word, heavy thoughts, heavy things to work on for that day or think about for that day. Today I'm feeling triumphant. I'm feeling anti-fragile. For those of you that have heard that word, you know what I'm kind of talking about. Something that is anti-fragile, rather than getting weaker or breaking under pressure. The more pressure you apply, the stronger the thing gets. And I just feel like today, like the last 3.5 years of my life, the last year of COVID, 3 years of medical stuff, year of COVID, like I survived. Not only did I survive, but I may be in a better place than I've ever been. I have worked really hard to work on myself through this time, and I'm stronger than ever. I'm feeling anti-fragile today. I'm feeling triumphant today. I'm feeling successful. I'm feeling more powerful in terms of myself than I ever have before. And it feels really good. And I think I'm just going to let that be the thought for today. I'm going to sort of give myself space and time to enjoy the success of having survived the last 1 year, the last 3 years, all the shit that I've been through, we've all been through. We're here, we've made it. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous day outside my house right now. I'm going to spend some time outside, probably doing some welding, because, I'm trying to improve my skills, my sort of useful survival skills. And, man, it's just, I'm feeling good today. And rather than try and come up with some heavy thing to think about, I think the heavy thing I'm going to think about is just to enjoy where I've made it to. Yeah. That's it. Kick ass today, guys.